Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Nerd Mode. I'm officially doing a post commentary for you guys today. Before we jump into the good information that I want to share with you guys, we need to kind of get over what I'm using, the map, all the good stuff that I usually discuss at the beginning of the gameplay. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into this. I'm going to be playing on Danya Fortress that was released back in close quarters back in June. And I'm going to be using the 870 shotgun with a red dot. I presume it's probably slug rounds, but don't hold me completely to that. It might be flechette. It's one of the two. I could not actually see what I was using, unfortunately. But red dot, flechette rounds, and then I'm using extended mags because 2 bullets is just magnificent. You can get so many more kills with that. Yeah, right. But, that's just kind of what I wanted to let you guys know. And obviously it's Conquest Domination since it's the close quarters stuff. So I guess we'll jump into the main topic for you guys today. Hopefully it'll be a good one, and hopefully it goes over nice and smooth for you guys. I'm going to be discussing what I want in Battlefield 4. Obviously a lot of us have known that Battlefield 4 beta is going to be in the Medal of Honor, Warfighter game that's to be released here a couple months or something of the sort. Or maybe it's already out. Who knows? I'm not much of a Medal of Honor guy. But I kind of want to talk about what do I want, maybe what you guys want. Us as a community, we need to kind of finalize our thoughts, because we don't know exactly what's going to be in it. No one does unless the DICE team is for some reason telling everybody. But, let's be honest, that's probably not what's happening. So, I'm going to go over some things I'd like to see changed, filtered, maybe things added in for that case. I think it'd be kind of cool on day one for them to implement more maps. The more maps you have, the more chance you have to dislike technically more maps, in a sense. Or maybe you'll like more of them. For me, it seems to be like I like to play 3 out of the total, we'll say 20 maps that are in Battlefield 3 with expansion packs as of now. But, I just like to see more city maps. I'm not much of a desert guy. I don't like the whole running factor, like from point A, point B. That's one of the hugest reasons I don't play Conquest. Conquest is all about running and driving around, and honestly, that's not my cup of tea. Now, I know PC is probably like, what are you talking about, driving around forever? Yes, PC, I do realize you guys have about 3 times as much players, so there is a lot more action on PC. PC looks like a better experience compared to console. And unfortunately, that's a big issue in my eyes. But hopefully the next-gen consoles will be able to run, the newer Battlefields at a better pace. We'll be able to stay up with you guys. We should be up to technology, date with you guys. But I know new PCs come out about every 6 months to about a year, depending on your brand. So that might be a little tough to stay in that ballpark, but only time will tell. As I said before, player count, that would be nice if we could get up to where PC's at. I feel like the more people we have versus each other makes it a lot better. Now, some people might bring out, well, Grand Bazaar and PC is just horrible. You can't even take B-bomb. Well, yeah, but that's map design. That's failure to meet, PC's basically criteria, or maybe how it would function at a better rate. That's something that sucks. That's why I don't think Grand Bazaar on Rush is really what you guys like too much. At least from what I've heard from a lot of PC guys, I've heard it's a death trap and a humongous spawn trap. So I imagine that's not your guys' favorite map, but you guys might like maps such as, Narsh Canals, all that good stuff. Stuff that for console is just a joke, and it's usually not played too often. I mean, it's more of a TDM kind of thing, which I don't play TDM either because I want to max out my XP per hour. But I feel like their marketing thing should be something like this. Maybe they have more close quarters maps. Close quarters was received in a weird manner. Half the guys liked it, half of them hated it. I was somewhere in the middle. I like close quarters because it brings back some Call of Duty, but it also retains that Battlefield feeling. But I feel like maybe they went way too Call of Duty style on it, since the maps are, literally I could probably touch you when I shoot you. I could probably kick you in the balls or something for that matter. That's about how big each engagement is. It's right up in your face, and for people that don't play on maximum sensitivity, or, somewhere between 75 to the 100% mark of your little bar that you can fill, it's probably not your favorite thing in the world. Close quarters really isn't about accuracy, since your accuracy is moving your joystick or your mouse, just a little bit of angles or whatever, just because of, the corridors and all the good stuff, second levels and all that. That's something that maybe they'd want to implement more for the Call of Duty guys, because we're talking about a marketing standpoint here. I mean, yes, as much of us Battlefielders, want to bash on Call of Duty or do whatever we do, and they do the same to us. In the same regard, it's all about, sales. As much as we don't like it, at the end of the day, they're going to do whatever's going to make them the most money. And you got to look at it from that perspective. It's like, make, we'll say 100,000 guys happy for making huge maps, or make 30,000 guys. Did I say that right? No, 300,000 guys happy. So you know, what are you going to do? Most of the time, people are going to go with the 300K because that's more money in their pocket. But in the same regard, they still need to apply to the 100,000 guys that are like, hey, we want big maps. So in that regard, Armored Kill for Battlefield 3, for example, is going to fill that void. I feel like it's going to be pretty cool. I'd like to see bigger maps, maybe more city, more destruction. I feel like Battlefield 3 was kind of a beta game. Now, just wait until you write, it's not a beta, just wait. I feel like the destructibility in Bad Company 2 was way better than in Battlefield 3. Now I realize, in Bad Company 2 you couldn't have stuff crumble on people and all that cool stuff. That's awesome. I abuse that all the time in Grand Bazaar. But I feel like making the maps more, making an entire storied building, a 10-story building, just collapse and have everyone inside die. That would be cool. That'd be more realistic, something like that. Like if you have a jet drop multiple missiles onto a building, there's a good chance it's not going to be standing and going, F you game or F you jet. That's just more reality. And I feel like eventually we'll get there, but I feel like the player count needs to increase and the graphics for the consoles and just the data in the Xbox and PS3 and all that stuff need to be more up to date. See, I'm not really worried about PC. PC is constantly changing. You guys are constantly getting new CPUs, hardware, all that cool stuff. That's awesome, believe me. If they didn't have better CPUs, video production would just suck, for example, on, doing YouTube videos. But in that regard, I feel like the video game, era, or, the things that me and you like to do the most, kind of need to get more updated. We need to have more destructibility, because there's nothing more cool than seeing an entire building collapse. Like in Bad Company 2, when you blew up a building, it would shake and then crumble to the ground. That was awesome. Now, I'm not saying Battlefield 3 doesn't have that. It's just not anywhere on the scale of what Bad Company 2 had. I feel like there's less buildings that actually are destructible. I mean, you can blow a hole in the wall, but, that's whatever. Most of the time, the door is probably your door or window is usually your best guess, because it doesn't, mark you and go, hey, I'm right here, come and shoot me or whatever. But that's my opinion. Maybe you guys like less destructibility or something of that sort. Maybe like a little middle, some things that can't break due to the objectives. And I guess to talk about the objectives now that I just brought it up, I feel like you shouldn't be able to collapse a building on an objective. That would defeat the purpose of playing the objective, I mean, just like in Bad Company 2 when you could see for the crates, that was the cheapest tactic ever. And it was the most annoying thing in the entire world. It completely defeated the purpose of even wasting tickets to go arm it when you could have, airdrop onto the objective, drop C4 on it, or shoot a tank at it multiple times. I mean, tank shell, that is, of course, but there has to be limitations to how you want to have destructibility. So I guess in the comments, guys, just let me know if you agree with that. That's just something I kind of thought about, and I'm going to stand by it, but I kind of want to know what you guys think. I kind of want to get more information. And always, for sure, guys, write if you have anything I didn't talk about. I like to read your guys' things, and maybe there'll be a part 2 to this. Who knows? But I guess to jump on to another thing. I feel like weapons need to have more, attachments. Battlefield 3 gave us a wide variety, but how many times do you guys see somebody with an M16 with a times, 8 scope or times 6 scope or whatever? You don't see it. The point of it is that they need to have attachments that are more suitable to that class. You're not going to see somebody with a times 6 scope or times 8, I don't remember which one it is, on the M16. Why? Because it's going to add a ton of recoil, it's going to defeat the purpose of the M16's potential, and it's going to basically limit it to single fire only. Well, single fire may be awesome, but the M16 is a deadly weapon in, any player's hands. I mean, you don't need to be a skilled person to, be able to be accurate with it. Over time, you'll become a much better and more accurate player, but day one, you can start off pretty good. You can mess with your sensitivity settings, kind of get the roundabout of what makes you the best player you can be. But back to the regard, I feel like some of the attachments in Battlefield 3 kind of defeat the purpose of using it. For shotgun's example, some people like to be funny and put a times 6 or 8 scope. Sorry, I don't exactly remember what it is, but what's the point to have that on a shotgun? It's not exactly too useful. Now, some people might be like, well, if you use slugs or frags, you can snipe people with them. Yeah, that is true, but since when did shotguns become sniper rifles? You know what I mean in that regard? Now, I'm not saying it's not cool to snipe somebody across the map with it. That's totally not what I'm trying to get at. But I'm trying to say, in a regard, let's make the attachments more suitable to the weapons. Having maybe a shotgun with slug rounds playing on Operation Metro with a times 4 or, a reflex, that's more appropriate. Or using that in, close quarters, for example. That's going to be able to suit you better. But the point of adding attachments that just aren't good for the gun kind of defeat, like, you're like, oh yeah, I gotta use a reflex and, a flashlight or whatever on my shotgun with slug rounds. Well, I gotta look at that every day for the next year, you know what I mean? Like, how many of you guys are actually gonna be like, do I raise my stats or do I try weird things, or somewhere in the middle, you know what I mean? I just feel like the attachments should be more suited to one thing, and there should be multiple attachments. I'm not saying like have like 5 attachments for each gun. No, I'm saying like have maybe 20, but they all differ depending on your class. Let me know if you guys agree with that. Just something I'd like to see change. I feel like it would increase the gameplay and see more variety upon the weapons instead of seeing the M16A3 with, reflex or the Russian reflex. What else do they use? Grip or something of that with a heavy barrel or flash suppressor. That's the most common things you'll ever see, probably. But, again, let me know. Some other things, we've talked about destruction, we've talked about guns. I think the player loadouts could probably use some work. I know we have to try to keep, the military's, uniform and stuff, appropriate. I don't want to see, a U.S. Marine with pink on. As cool as that might be, as funny as it might be, it's kind of disrespectful in a sense. So, I think we should have more variety. I feel like our weapons on day one, we should be able to customize them, kind of like Ghost Recon. Any of you guys ever played it, you can customize everything on your gun. We're talking about the internals, externals, well, that's about really it for stuff. Attachments, stuff like that. I think Battlefield 3 needs to go down that road. I think we need to be able to be like, well, I want to use the M16, but how do I want to use it? Do I want to be kind of like, turn it into an M4A1, but still retain its, size, its more compact, or its like length or whatever, or compact it into an M4A1, but still have those similar, stats, but give up, let's say, rate of fire, or increased rate of fire, but give up, let's see, like range or something like that. That would be kind of cool. I don't see a lot of problems with that. I see a lot of videos on YouTube telling you which gun's the best, but does that play your play style? Probably not. Will it play mine? It could not. Just depends. But that's something I just thought about. Ghost Recon had a lot of cool ideas, and they implemented it into their game, and so far it's worked. It works out for the better in the long run. And, vehicles, I guess we could talk about. Vehicles are cool. I kind of hated how they took the Bradley out of Bad Company 2. The Bradley was my favorite vehicle ever. It was by far, it wasn't nothing like incredibly OP or anything, but I felt like it did more, it was kind of like using the Conquest vehicles. If you've ever played Bazaar, you have the Russians and the Americans, like LAV kind of stuff like that. But I don't know, the Bradley was just a cool vehicle. It was more suited for military from what I see. I think if I remember correct, it was in the campaign, but they chose not to keep it, which is unfortunate because that would have been something that probably would have meant I would have played more Conquest, but I highly doubt I'll ever play that just for console's sake. But overall, I'd like to see like some vehicles come back. AC-130, hopefully that'll come back, double jets, single jets for depending on the game type, and the player count. Obviously, the player count's going to mean the most in the long run. But overall, I just like to see different things for that, and I guess go into more in-depth. I like to see attachments for the vehicles. Like you guys, I'm pretty sure me and you see the same stuff every single time. When you see a helicopter, what do you think they're using? It's probably the same stuff, isn't it? It's probably ECM, flares. You could go as far to go into the autoloader, maybe stealth, TV missile, stuff like that. You don't see very much variety in the things, and for sure, if you guys have ever noticed the Humvee and the buggies, they don't get any love. They get nothing. It's either you get hit by an anti-ground missile with an Humvee or the buggy, and it's a one-shot. You're dead inside of it, and the vehicles are about to blow up if the other team doesn't repair them or your team actually jumps in and helps you out. But guys, unfortunately, the gameplay is going to be coming to an end here in about 40 seconds, so I'm going to kind of bring you my final thoughts. I just want to know what you guys want to think. What do you guys want to see in the game? What would be something that you guys would want to see? I kind of told you roughly about what I want, but overall, there's hundreds of things they could add. There's hundreds of attachments, hundreds of vehicles that they could put in the game. Map design, what would you guys like? You want city maps, big maps, Call of Duty-ish kind of maps, close quarter maps? What do you want? This is kind of the time where we need to rise up as a community and tell them what we want, because if we don't, we're going to get another hashtag game, and we're going to be bitching about it here in, a couple of years. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments area below what you guys would like to see, and this is going to be Nerd Mode On, signing off. Peace.